You describe me what is the situation. Now, how many years you are in Israel, how many years, and how did you learn, and what is your opinion, what interferes with the progress? And then I will give you my version and my suggestions.
Amazing. Such a gentleman you are. Okay. My situation is, as every American Jewish boy, I was taught to read and write Hebrew at a very young age, basically prepping you for the bar mitzvah. Now, the rabbi at the time when I was a kid obviously wanted us to speak Hebrew, but we were a small class of like 3 kids, and it just didn't really work out so well. So as we got older, we were able to read for the bar mitzvah. At the age of 18, I fell in love with the idea of Israel. I came here. I worked on a kibbutz, tried to pick it up just by working around people. Didn't work so well. People told me if I watch the news like religiously, it will click. Didn't work. So after that experience, I returned to the States, and then I decided to tackle Tel Aviv University to get my master's degree. I took Ulpan there intensive for about 3.5 months, 90 days plus. I was there every day. The teacher was pretty shocked on why I was just worthless. He was like, "You're here every day. You put in more effort than anybody. How can you not know this breakdown?" And I said, I just doesn't stick. I don't know. You have a term for it, the forget curve. I am a victim of forget curves. So many years later, I'm married with 2 kids. My kids are 9 and 6. My wife and I have been together for 12 years, married for 10. We're to the point where it's starting to affect the relationship because I'm unable to do both. I talk to the kids in English, she talks to them in Hebrew, but whatever she says in Hebrew, I'm kind of out of the loop. And the frustration for her is building. So I want to try to like soften that blow. I also, when I meet with her family, it's very limited on what I'm able to do. So I'm kind of a stump in the corner. Now, the problem is people see me in English and they see this charming, intelligent guy that can't really reproduce it in Hebrew. Now, in September 1st, I started a very intensive Ulpan here in Israel that I was advised to take because they said it was someone recommended it and said it's the only Ulpan that will actually teach a Westerner how to speak Hebrew. All the others do not have the success rate of these. So I said, wow. So for 2 months, I struggled to get in. I finally got into their beginner's course, 5 days a week, 5 hours a day from 8:30 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon. Let's just say after 60 days, I felt empowered a bit. Days were like, I was worthless. I couldn't do anything for the family because I work afternoons. Like my hours are 2 to 11 p.m. So I use the morning to study, not help the family, things like that. I will also say at the point that I stopped, it was right at the point where every day got epically deeper and deeper. Like I needed more and more notepads to keep up. The words weren't triggering. I was having a hard time stay afloat. So I told them I'm going to take what I have in these 60 days and do it with private tutors. I didn't realize I was going to get resistance from some private tutors about no, we don't do that method. And I'm like, you're an individual. You can't like open your mind to working with me in this manner. And they were like, no, I teach like this. So I've been through numerous tutors. Finally, this weekend or last weekend, when my work slowed down a little bit, I had some time to research ESL because I come from that background. And I'm like, there's got to be hypnotism, something that can happen other than jail or army. You know what I mean? Like if it's not forced full immersion, I don't know what to do. So if I study in the morning and then put 9 hours of work in English, it's not like I'm using what I roll over. So I'm constantly trying to keep up. Does that help you?
Yes, that's very helpful, actually. But one part is missing. Your explanation why it happened to you.
Why I'm having so much trouble with this, I think.
Yes.
Without making excuses, I've had learning disabilities my whole life, and the English language was not easy for me to learn. So I'm a good speaker, but written, train wreck. Like my college professors pulled me aside and said, how did you get into college? Like you don't write well. And I said, I write like I speak. And they said, yeah, but that's not how people do it. And I said, that's kind of how I got through life, writing as I spoke. Everything was a speech. Everything was a pitch. Everything was like an idea, a sales thing, something like that. I don't know. Guess is if you don't use it, you lose it. So even if I'm studying it, I'm not using it enough. I also don't default towards it. It's not my first instinct to think in that language. You have some, it's very conscious. It's what you wrote is accurate. I am a conscious learner, and it's not working.
It's very interesting that your last phrase is actually a key to the explanation of your story.
Okay.
You said you are a conscious learner, and that explains everything. And
When I read your,
as you know, my approach is called subconscious training, and that's why I explained that conscious learning doesn't work for most people. For some of them, like you, I have seen a few such cases, like you, by the way. You are not unique. It doesn't work, absolutely doesn't work. So, why conscious learning doesn't work? Let's step aside and let's have a little discussion. I will ask you, whatever I ask you, give me the answer irrespective of do you know or no. It means you open your mouth and you talk. Okay?
okay,
So, in which language do you think?
English. I think in English.
Okay. Now, if I will ask you, can you find an alternative explanation if I will tell you, I can prove it, not only tell you, that you do not think in English? That's
I
where all your problem starts because you think that you think in English. That's all where all the problem starts. So try
okay.
to find an explanation. In which language do you think?
Symbols.
Exactly. It's called the language of thought, is the language of symbols, and the language of feelings. It has a scientific name to it. This language is called mentalese.
Mantelese.
Professor Steven Pinker from MIT described it in his book Language Instinct. Uh,
Okay.
so we do not think in our language. When you dream, you have a very vivid description of everything what is going on in your dream. And definitely you do not use language in your dream. So the language of your dream is language of your thoughts. And when you try to verbalize something or something happened and you try to say, help, help, you wake up because language of thought has nothing to do with English language. Now,
Okay.
now it's very important conclusion because the next explanation, next step, language of thought is wired together with your native language, which means that if you have that or that symbol, and by the way, symbol, it's not a picture, it's not a diagram. Symbol is something average. If you say mom, it's everything what is included. If you say table, it's all kinds of table, etc. So a symbol is something very, very specific which you have accumulated and experienced in your life. Now, symbols subconsciously, here is the main word for you, subconsciously wired to your native language words. And when you try and decide to verbalize your symbols, language of thoughts, the words appear by itself on the tip of your tongue. They appear subconsciously. Now, native children learn consciously or subconsciously? It's a question.
Sub
Subconsciously.
subconsciously.
What that means? It means that their language of symbols is wired together with the words of their native language. If children are in an environment where, like in your case, I think that your children are bilingual. They are definitely bilingual, and they demonstrate what is well known, that all children can have five native languages if they are in an environment where they hear and practice all five languages. Correct?
Yeah.
So now that is clear. What that means is that consciously, it's very hard to learn a language, and you have to do it subconsciously.
Okay.
The problem, we don't know how to do it subconsciously.
Well, okay. You mean we don't know how? You came up with. I like the combination of the speaking, the reading, and the writing at the same time because that was the one. The last class that I just stopped,
Yeah,
they
that's
did
why
that.
I made that long pause, because when I say we don't know it, because I am an inventor, I know it. I try to spread the word, but language industry doesn't know it. Your professors in Tel Aviv University doesn't know
Didn't
it.
know it.
And
No.
in Israel, there are two great companies who are dealing with learning English and trying to, expand their job in the world. And I talked to both CEOs, and they cannot understand what I'm talking about. So they stopped
I
talking to me. Now,
I connected immediately, my friend.
now that was my invention, and I have two patents on this invention. Because to enter, by the way, do you know that we have two kinds of mind, conscious mind and subconscious mind?
Yes.
How often do you use your conscious mind and your subconscious mind? It's a question.
I imagine that the subconscious mind is the majority and the conscious is interactions, like in the moment.
Exactly. Subconscious you use 95%. So it
95.
means that we actually live as robots, and everything what we do subconsciously. We are not aware of it. Now,
Mhm.
consciously, unfortunately, now when you go to school, you start learning all other subjects consciously. And here was made that fatal mistake that people think that they can learn a foreign language consciously. It is very hard, and for most, it is impossible. And so, if we now consider the question, what means to learn a language? How you will define what means to learn Hebrew?
My definition of understanding Hebrew, because it's a complicated question, would be to sit in an environment that no one was speaking to me and to understand what was being said around me. That's where I would like to be. That would be for me understanding Hebrew.
Yeah, but it's not a definition of the process. The
Okay.
process of becoming fluent in Hebrew, I defined it in a completely different way to all what you hear or read about. So
Okay.
our purpose is to wire the known language of thoughts to the unknown words of a new language.
Does this go back to the mapping?
Uh,
To kind of like is it's like a form of like kind of like carrying over the map, so to say?
no, because mapping, I don't like this term. It may be, there is some similarity. I don't like this term because it was extensively used for quite different purposes. It's
Okay.
not because Mapping was done, and now it's used by some teachers, but it's absolutely terrible because they do mapping
Okay.
consciously, and that actually excludes the very idea of it. So you said mapping, I say no, because
Okay.
mapping as known today is done consciously, and you cannot do it consciously. So you have to do it subconsciously. Now,
So then to know Hebrew would be apple and not think apple, but think the Hebrew word only directly to the symbol.
exactly, and you do not think, by the way, and that is another objective. You do not think because it is done subconsciously. Now, if you know that subconsciously we use 95% of time, do you know how much faster is subconscious?
Wow. Exponentially. Light, like speed of light.
Yeah, the number was measured and known 500,000 times faster.
Muscle memory. Okay.
No. Another question. Uh, 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 can you do multitasking?
Yes. Not well, but yes.
Uh, Martin, you should understand that every question I ask is a trap. And
Ah,
of course, you do not do multitasking. What I
okay.
mean by that, sorry, I'm a bit inaccurate in that. Let's rephrase it. Consciously, when you learn consciously, you cannot do multitasking. Do you know how many tasks your conscious can do?
One, maybe two.
Exactly. Even if you didn't read it, it's exactly the number
Yeah.
one or maybe two.
Mhm.
So
But subconsciously,
subconsciously, it's unlimited. And
wow.
another question, consciously, your memory connected to your conscious, how strong is your memory?
It's fading. It's getting worse in my 40s, but pretty good.
It's absolutely fading because it is designed that way. You have to forget, otherwise you will not survive. You will
Okay.
explode. Whatever I tell you now, and although it's interesting and you will try to remember it, I guarantee that in 30 days you will forget 90% of it. That's why I'm recording it so you can watch it again
Thank you. I'm also taking notes.
and take the notes. Now, because consciously you cannot do multitasking, and because conscious is such a slow process, by the way, if you try to remember a word consciously, how slow it is, do you know how slow it is?
You mean
Uh,
the to
it's very slow. Even if you remember the word, you learn the word, and you try to remember, recollect what is that or that in Hebrew, the recollection process is extremely slow. Now, how many words you have to create per second to become fluent in a language?
two, three?
Martin, you are amazing that without knowledge, intuitively, you give exactly correct numbers. Very few people do it. So you are really smart because
Thank
you
you.
have to produce two or three words to have a fluent conversation.
Hmm.
Can you do it consciously? No,
No.
absolutely no. So whatever you learn, whatever podcast, whatever teacher, whatever tutor you do, it wouldn't help you. And now you understand
Okay.
why. It's a very simple theory. Although I have two patents to ebooks, 80 articles, blah, 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 blah. You don't need to read it because what I tell you now is so obvious, is so simple, is so logically built that now you understand your problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so you understand now that the three actions at the same time, because three, not two, but three, brings you automatically into subconscious.
Okay.
Subconscious is a method uh, was described 70 years ago by Stephen Krashen. You know that name for him as linguist. He
Hmm.
introduced comprehensive input method, and for 70 years he tries to explain that learning a language is a subconscious process, etc., etc. And he didn't have much success because he didn't know how to enter subconscious, how to activate subconscious, how to ensure subconscious. I was given this solution, was given. I didn't discover it, or it's the same as I got it as aha moment, because being a Jew in the Soviet Union, I didn't have a choice where to go for my education. I didn't have a choice
Right.
even to change my work. In Russia, I left Russia 35 years ago. I never was there. I don't know what is Russia now. But I am a unique person. I have two lives, one black and white and one color life. I was working because I loved languages all the time, and because I had this system in me as a child. I learned English without taking any lessons, any schools. I became a famous simultaneous interpreter in Russia, and I worked in United States also. I work here as a scientist, but on my vacation time because I loved it. Simultaneous interpretation is a very unique activity when you observe one language, observe and speak in another language. So I visualize what you say in Russian and speak it in English, or vice versa. And when I was doing it and being a scientist and being interested in languages, I've discovered that if you do three actions at the same time, your subconscious is turned on automatically. And
Sure.
when you hear somebody is trying to speak to you in Hebrew and you try to understand it, what is your process inside of your head? What you are doing? Do you know? Or have you noticed, or you never thought about it?
It's funny you say that. I think it was a couple of days ago I noticed. The person was speaking and my ADD kicked in. I wasn't paying attention. So I said to them in Hebrew, Slicha, od pam, like one more time. And then they started to speak again. And when they did that, I was looking for words of familiarity. I was
Yeah,
almost
but
waiting for them to say something that I knew.
uh, yes, but actually, here is one hidden process which I would like to draw your attention to because it's another barrier for all adults learning a foreign language. The ingrained habit of cross translation. Cross translation means that whatever they hear talk to you in Hebrew, you are waiting for the words which you
In
know because
English.
you know those words as translations into English.
Correct.
And so you cross translate in your head. And that's why you will live 100 years in Israel and you would not speak fluent because some people have this cross translation as your map controller, which you cannot turn off consciously. We have to find a way to accomplish the task subconsciously. You understand now?
Make very clearly, yes. That's exactly what I'm doing.
Uh, Consciously, you cannot do it, and we cannot stop cross translation. By the way, you probably heard that actually only 5% of people can learn a foreign language. 95% cannot learn a foreign language. It's actually statistics. Because,
No, but when you when you move to Israel and everyone's like, you have a large like immigrants start speaking Hebrew, and it's like I'm always the idiot in the class. So how are all those Russians are always at the front of the class, and then Asians, the Anglos are usually at the back. Do you understand what I mean? Like the learning curve for certain cultures just seems to be epically faster. We're all in the same class. How?
and yes and no, because you observe those who are on the front. You don't know those who are at the back side. Because
What?
there, if you will consider the millions of Chinese, Russian, Polish, and those old cities in the United States where adults being 20 years in America don't speak English. So it's not always the case. You see those Russians who
Okay.
come here because it's survival mode. It's a different mode. And even from among them, there is only a part who can do it. Do you know why? Because only five, why I say only 5%, it's again statistical known fact. Because those 5% of people, they are visual people. Your cross translation into English stops automatically.
Oh,
And
amazing.
then you can wire your symbols of the language of thoughts with Hebrew words. And
Yeah.
after experiencing Hebrew this way many times, and doing a few other drills, which I will show you to facilitate this process, you will become subconsciously aware of the wiring symbols, Hebrew words, without cross translating into English. Now you cannot remember them because you cross translate. Cross translation process is inhibitively slow. So we have to do everything in subconscious. Do you have any
So far,
questions
yes.
before I try to demonstrate to you?
Forgot the English word, but you have the degree, and then you have the practical application of the degree. So for 2.5 years of the degree, we taught in public schools. They gave me the kids that had borderline potential to make them better, and I also had the really, really strong kids that needed to be, like more university collegiate level. Um, I'm sorry, what was your question directly?
Now, the question, it's a next question. Till what age children learn languages subconsciously?
My guess is like up to 4 or 5. 7, it's dead, I would imagine.
No, you here you made a mistake. 12,
Take it up to 12? Amazing.
up to
Okay.
12. And that's why whatever you did in schools, working 2 years in schools, has nothing to do with your education. In
Mm-hmm.
the way that children can learn a language by any method up to the 12 years of old, they absorb it subconsciously.
Okay.
After, what that means and how it was determined at 12, it's statistically, there are millions of immigrants. And if my two daughters came here at the age of 13 and 14 and a half, okay, and they have an accent. All those
Hmm.
children who came here before 12, they speak English without accent. So it's a very well established fact. Now, what
Interesting.
that means is that if you work with children, you don't need any degree or any special method because children will always do subconsciously. If you work with
Wow.
adults, the story is completely different. And to be successful, you have to learn my methods. You have to expand it and you have to understand the potential of it. And maybe you can even bring it to Israel, because if you will understand and will be able to demonstrate it and go to two CEOs in Israel, Lana and the other guy, I know them. I have contacts with them and demonstrate it to them. That may change the way the adults learn language. So
Okay.
I have a mobile application for Android devices. Do you have
Okay.
Android?
I do. Yes.
Okay. So you can download my Android application from Google Play Store.
Hmm.
The price is $4.99, and you own it for life. And
Okay.
then what we will do, we will use the application created for learning English by adults. We will use it for reverse engineering purposes. And we'll use some of its drills, which could be reverse engineered, and use it to learn Hebrew subconsciously. So what you see here, this one, what you see here, it's my landing page.
I clicked on every link, and under Speak English Fluently, I read about 45 to 55 pages of your article.
And that's
So yeah.
excellent. And now I want to show you this again, because when you click on this, you will see my website. There
Okay.
you can see slides, you can see testimonials, a lot of materials there. That is
Perfect.
my LinkedIn profile and connection to 60 articles on LinkedIn. Here is
Hmm.
the book. It's, by the way, part two. There is a part one book also, and you can read it. Here is, maybe you didn't use this, but this, now you will click on a YouTube channel and you will hear the video, watch the video which explains how to use the main application for learning English 30 minutes, and it's a demonstration. And many things which I explained to you now are explained there also. And
Okay.
here is articles on elearningindustry.com. 20 articles here. It's a leading publication for e-learning. My Facebook, Twitter. And here is an interesting part. You asked me, can you give me the name? It is here. When you click on
NASDAQ.
this must, why I call it must, because it's mobile application for subconscious training. When you
Okay.
click on this application, you see it and you can just download it from Google Play Store. Okay, so
Perfect.
you don't need to write down anything. Okay,
Okay.
now
Perfect.
there is interesting part about fluency developing and testing, but it's a slightly separate story. We'll talk about later. What I demonstrate to you now is Android application, but I use my PC for a Zoom session.
Okay.
So there is a program that allows me to show what is on my Android device on the screen, and that's why it's a bit complicated because the sound goes through external. Okay. Uh, because we discussed it, the subconscious is so much faster. And because subconscious multitasking, unlimited memory is long-term memory. Conscious doesn't have access to long-term memory. So of course, there is no comparison. So now
Okay.
for many years of using this application for thousands and thousands of learners, I know that adults can learn English in less than a year, starting
Wow.
from nearly zero, not zero, because you have to be able to learn, but that's exactly what you can do. You can read
Great.
and write, but you cannot speak. So in your case, it would require, I would say the ideal would be to do it 3 times a week, about 2 hours per session, but not less than 1 hour per session.
Okay.
Now, here is how the application looks like. So I have to simulate it. It doesn't work as I planned.
Okay.
But now, you have to read, listen, and repeat. So you will listen to my reading, and you have to talk at the same time. Okay?
Okay.
Dreamer by Kale
Dreamer by
Ohas.
Callie Ohas.
I have
I have
a dream to
a
live
dream to
for,
live
a
for,
dream to die
dream to
with.
die with.
I am a dreamer.
I am a dreamer.
I want to go
I
to a
want to go
place.
to a
I
place.
want to do
I want to
something.
do
I
something.
want to
I
make a
want to
mark.
make a
I
mark.
am a
I am
dreamer.
a dreamer.
I don't have
I
money.
don't have
I
money.
know
I
nothing,
know
but
nothing,
I have a
but I
dream.
have a
I
dream.
am a
I
dreamer.
am a dreamer.
I can do it.
I can do
I
it.
will get
I will
there.
get
I
there.
can achieve
I
it.
can achieve
I
it.
am a
I
dreamer.
am a dreamer.
I believe.
I want,
I
I believe.
believe. Believe
I
is
believe. Believe
miracle.
is miracle.
Miracle is a dream.
Miracle is a
I
dream.
am a dreamer.
I am a dreamer.
I
I
want to keep memories
want
of
to
the
keep
past.
memories of the
I want to
past.
have hope
Want
for
to
the
have hope for
future.
the future.
Future is a
Future
dream.
is a
I am
dream.
a
I
dreamer.
am a dreamer.
Nothing can stop
Nothing
me.
can stop me.
Nothing will stop
Nothing
me
will stop me
because I am in a
because I
dream.
am in a dream.
I am a dreamer.
I am a dreamer.
You understand that doing simultaneous repetition automatically opens your subconscious training. And when you do it a few, actually many times, as if you are a self learner, you will remember those words automatically. You understand it. You will know it like a song. Now, the next drill in this application, and I will explain it to you, and let's do just a little bit of it. First of all, you have to do this simultaneous repetition a few times to get the
Okay.
essence of it. But now the next
Okay.
drill, you listen to the recording and speak at the same time while closing your eyes. Do you know what
Okay.
happens when you close your eyes? No idea.
I mean, it feels it would feel like to me it would solidify deeper in the memory, but I don't know if that's accurate or not.
You were close, but not quite. What it means is
Okay.
that when we all have our eyes open, that 60%, by the way, now try to close your eyes even now and try to listen what I am saying with closed eyes. About 60% or sometimes say 70% of our brain power is used for visualization because visualization is a very complicated process we see not with our eyes but with our brain. And when you close your eyes, you have excessive energy, excessive brain power, And what it does, it turns on visualization capacity, which most adults lost because they became logical, because they learned so many subjects in school. So their visualization is restored. And when you say and speak, I have a dream, you see yourself having a dream. So it becomes so visual, and your memory is improved. And you understand that now we are doing all that in English, but then we will do all that in Hebrew. And so what that means, that opens your unlimited capacity to visualize, to remember, to record all those words, and to make direct wiring between symbols in which you think and Hebrew words.
Okay.
Now,
Interesting.
I will read a little bit and try speak together with me simultaneously with closed eyes.
Okay.
I have
I have
a dream to live for,
I'm
a
a
dream to die with.
dream to die
I am
for.
a dreamer.
I'm a
I
dreamer.
want to go to a
Want to
place.
go to a
I want to
place.
do
Want
something.
to do
I want to
something.
make a
I
mark.
want to be the
I am a
mark.
dreamer.
Oh, I'm a dreamer.
I don't have money.
I won't have
I
any.
know nothing,
Do
but I
nothing.
have a dream.
I have a
I
dream.
am a dreamer.
I am a
I
dreamer.
can do it. I
Do
will
it.
get there.
We'll do it.
I can
I'll get
achieve
there.
it.
And I
I
can
am a
achieve it.
dreamer.
I'm a dreamer.
I believe.
I dream.
Believe is miracle. Miracle is a
Miracle.
dream. I am a
Miracle dream.
dreamer.
I'm a dreamer.
Do you see now more vividly what you say because your eyes closed? It may
Um,
take time because for you it's absolutely new activity, but believe me
yeah.
that it opens your mind capacity to be used for visualization and for acquiring fluency subconsciously.
So you're this poem that you're doing, it's being given to people who have no English or very little English, the ability to learn but no English, and in time enough of this, it makes sense. They can, like, if I don't know the word in Hebrew dreamer, it will click eventually.
Oh, wait a second. If you
Because I'm sure.
no. Then you know what? Let me go to the beginning. And if you open this word, first you see the words appear randomly on the screen. Those are the
Yep,
words which are taken from the lesson one. It's a very simple, primitive
got
lesson.
it.
And your
Okay,
subconscious records those words subconsciously, and
okay,
it will know those words. But look, what is the next drill? Next drill, you can translate it into any language, Hebrew including. In this case, it's example of Mandarin, but you can
Mandarin. Yeah.
translate
Okay,
it in Hebrew. I will show you how. Then the next drill, you do simultaneous repetition. That's what we have done exactly. Read,
okay,
listen, and repeat. The next one, you do the same, but this time you close your eyes. The
okay.
next drill is you do simultaneously with the speaker many times until you can do it easily and without omissions. Then do a few more repetitions with your eyes closed without analyzing your own pronunciation. The next drill, you while repeating the text after the speaker and without stopping the recording, write down as many words as you can that come to your mind. So you do simultaneously repeating and typing on your phone, on the keyboard. The words, you start typing the words, you don't need to think about that word. You can listen and repeat the next word, but your subconscious can type automatically. Okay, so there are so many
Hmm.
drills which, and then you can do the same thing while repeating the text after the speaker without stopping. Write down as many words as you can. You again, all the words which you have typed here in the lower display, you can add now words from the lesson. You can scroll and add it. So you
Nice.
work with
Okay.
words. Now, anytime,
Arcady, I don't want to be rude, but I do have a hard stop in 5 minutes. Just to be, if I knew, I would have, blocked. I thought I was
okay,
being.
okay, then we'll stop this and do the main thing. The main thing is that in Google Translate, you can copy and paste the lesson which we repeated, but then we can
Okay.
translate it in Hebrew.
Okay.
And then
Nice.
what you can do is when you click on this button, volume
Sometimes Google doesn't like.
is off. Okay, I cannot now but believe me, and you will do it later. So when you click on this, it will start reading. So what you do is you can scroll it, read, listen, and repeat, and it will be in Hebrew. And because it is in Hebrew, you can do it many times, and you know the words, and they will click, they will wire together without cross translating. Because when you do three actions at the same time, you cannot cross translate. What you do more then, if you after a few repetitions, maybe 5 6, do a few more repetitions with closed eyes, and then your Hebrew words will become so visual together with the image. So the symbols will be wired with Hebrew words directly and subconsciously.
Wow. This is something else. This is impressive stuff, Arcady. Very impressive. I have the app. I just purchased it. After my night slows down a little bit, I'm going to get on and I'm going to play with it a bit. Um, I really want to thank you for this time that you spent out of the kindness of your heart. I didn't expect you to hop onto an hour Zoom with me. Like, honestly, it's very mensch of you.
Martin, before you play with the application, you have to watch YouTube video because there are many things.
Okay.
For example, you can translate there any word or any phrase, but you have to know how. And everything is
Okay.
explained in YouTube. If you have any
Okay.
questions, write to me. And I am
Okay.
open here to guide you if even further and to talk to
Wow.
you. And maybe if you see how great the solution is, maybe you can decide to help me to bring it to Israel.
Gladly, because I am not alone. I am one of many. The problem is most of the many are Anglos. So they tend to get together. Just like you know how it is when
Yes,
immigrants
yes,
come. You have
yeah,
Russian
yeah.
communities, Ethiopian communities, Anglo communities, the Israeli communities, and then you have the floaters that actually successfully integrate.
Yeah, yeah, I understand all that. But also keep in mind that if you learn a little bit of this and you understand the power of it, then you can create a group or even do
Mhm.
something like streamline online. I am ready to show it again and again and again. I am ready to
Amazing.
demonstrate because my purpose in life is not to sell. By the way, I have 8 patents in United States, 8 patents, 7 patents in Russia, and I'm not trying to become rich. I am trying to change the way the world learns language and help me in that because it's a noble task and
It
is
is a very noble task.
and there are 2 billion people who are learning English now, and if they would know English better, maybe the situation in the world would be better because we do not have a common language.
No, we do not. You're absolutely right. Very interesting stuff.
Okay, Do
Artic-
your homework, read, listen, try to find out the best way, and
yep.
let's continue talking. I'm ready to discuss it further to help you and you helping others to get
Yes.
on to this path.
Sounds great, Arcady. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today.